Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to review the movie Him. This is the latest film by Jordan Peele, who's made pretty much a name for himself in horror in recent years with Us and Get Out. This is his latest one, and I had the opportunity to check it out last night, and this one's actually really interesting. Now, all said and done, when the movie concluded, I was still satisfied with the movie we got, but I felt like the horror elements, I think the marketing sort of made it seem like it was going to have more horror elements, and it really did. It really wasn't that scary of a movie, really at all. And the horror elements, there just wasn't a whole lot of it. It gets bloody at times, but that's really about it. Really, the only creepy moments there's one scene that's creepy for a couple of seconds, and then you know what's happening. So, yeah, it definitely really didn't lean into the horror aspect that much, but that's coming from someone that likes slashers and such. So I guess from a psychological horror standpoint, this did have there could be a strong case made for this being a psychological horror. I just didn't feel that it was as intense as I think the trailers suggested. However, the writing and performance in this movie was really cool. So you have basically this guy, Isaiah White, who's a star football player. He's the best. And when news is sort of getting thrown around that he may retire, a lot of college athletes want to be the next Isaiah White. And so this guy, Cameron Cade, the now main character for this movie, who the actor actually also starred in I Know What You Did Last Summer, the one that came out this year in 2025. So I wouldn't consider him lead in that movie. He wasn't, but I would say probably third, maybe fourth most screen time. So he's actually having a movie where he's sort of the side character going to basically the lead in a new horror film. It's a pretty cool jump for him. So I think he's going to have a pretty good career moving forward, especially with this performance now being part of his portfolio, if you will. So in this movie, Cameron Cade wants to be the next Isaiah White. He's the one that sort of has the chance to maybe be the next it guy. And so as the plot sort of moves from its opening, where we get a little bit of a tragic past for Cameron Cade, where we see basically family is the most important thing to him. He's lost some members of his family, and he just wants to be the best in football, but he also extremely loves his family. And so this is sort of the turmoil he struggles with, because he lets his family be supportive enough where football isn't really his obsession, which is part of the limits that Isaiah White is going to push him for further along the plot. So pretty much the opening is getting his background, getting a story, learning who Isaiah White is, and he has now been chosen to go to Isaiah White's home and train with him for a week to see if Isaiah White really likes this guy. And so that's sort of the first fourth of the movie, probably less than that. That's sort of our opener, pretty much. When Cameron gets to the house, that's the majority of pretty much, I think, the entirety of the rest of the film. And so, obviously, we've seen the trailers where we know Isaiah White is going through some extreme training sessions with him. And so that's where I guess the psychological horror is sort of building a little bit. He has this football field in his home where he's training. He has some other guys that he has show up to help them train. And one guy is just being, he has the football just smashing him in the face when Cameron doesn't train correctly the way Isaiah White wants him to. And so seeing him get more and more bloodied up because Cameron keeps failing over and over, that's sort of the intensity where the music gets a little louder, everything's a little more intense, more characters are yelling. It builds a suspense, and it did work for these scenarios. I just didn't, I wish it would have leaned into a little bit more of a scarier aspect given the strong cast in this movie. I think the actors really could have pulled that off if they had gone and made it a little bit more scarier. But for what it is, that is basically the rest of the movie up until the final act. Is just the training where things get more and more weird, more and more intense, and more extreme. And so if you like the psychological horror If that's considered psychological horror enough in this movie, then that aspect is something you will like. If you like those kinds of stories, and if you think that this movie delivers, then you'll like it. If you're someone that wants some extreme action and stuff, you're not going to get that with this movie. So it just depends on what kind of horror you like. For me, being sort of casual with not really being picky at what specifics in the horror genre I like, I was able to enjoy probably more of this movie than I think the average or maybe classic slasher fan might like. But overall, like I said, the script was clever and the acting was really strong. So that, I think, alone is able to negate the few negatives I had for this movie. And so as the training keeps getting more and more intense, Cameron Cade has sort of this growing turmoil in him where he's struggling to accept if this is going to be his role or if he should just leave. He's discovering that maybe this isn't for him. Maybe he doesn't want to put in the amount of commitment and effort that Isaiah wants him to have and to contribute. So Cameron's just that's sort of the internal storyline for this movie, is him not really knowing if he wants to go through with it. And so as we move toward our final act, we learn why Isaiah is so hard on him. We get to learn about, what the details of his extreme training sessions. We learn what's really behind it and why Isaiah is the way he is. And this is where we get into a little bit of the sort of mystery element of horror, where we get some supernatural stuff happening in this final act. The final act is extremely bloody. It delivers on the action in the last 10 minutes of the movie for sure. So overall, I did enjoy this movie. Was it the best horror movie of the year? No, I don't think it was close. But we've had some good movies this year. We've had some not so great movies this year. I think this is above average. I really did like it. I didn't think this was one of the best, but I really did enjoy it. So check it out, guys. See what you think. Let me know what you thought of this movie. I'm excited to see our two main cast we had for this movie. I can't wait to see where their careers take them next, because I thought they gave a really good performance in this. So thanks for digging, guys. Thanks for watching. Keep it digging.